With the Holocaust generation quickly disappearing, there is a danger that the message of never again may fade away. However, some survivors have taken it upon themselves to educate a new generation about this horror in the Jewish people's history. And they say there is a renewed interest in the Holocaust among the younger generation. IBA's Viva Press brings us this report.
My two daughters and my two son-in-laws.
Holocaust survivor Elisa Tenenbaum feels she has done her part. The 76-year-old grandmother has dedicated more than 30 years to telling students how she escaped the Nazis. Days before her 10th birthday, Tenenbaum, who was dressed in a matching brown woolen coat and hat, was taken from her mother in Vienna and sent away to England. She had a place on the final Kinder Transport, or Children's Transport, a British-sponsored mission that rescued thousands of Jewish children from the jaws of war.
When I tell my story about the Kinder, I always start what it was like being a little girl before Hitler came to power and all the changes that happened. We couldn't sit on a bench in the street. We couldn't go in a public park because there was a big notice up, the entrance to dogs and Jews are forbidden. We had the same status as dogs. We were thrown out of school.
Miraculously, Tenenbaum's entire nuclear family survived the Holocaust.
My father, my sister and me, and my two daughters.
For her, it is imperative to impart the history of the Jewish people to the new generations.
6 million Jews were killed. There's so few people have grandparents, have aunts, have uncles. That whole generation got lost. The Jewish education got lost. All the synagogues, everything was... That whole period of time was in a turmoil. So it has to be taught. It has to be known. This should really never happen again.
Chavka Fulman-Rabban has also dedicated her life to educating others about the horrors of the Holocaust. Her life story was recently made into a film called They Are Still With Me. The film is based on a book written by Rabban chronicling her experiences during the Second World War. When she was 15 years old, Rabban served as a courier with the Jewish underground and helped with its armed resistance. During one of her missions, she was caught by the Gestapo and sent to the Auschwitz death camp. Rabban is one of the founders of the Ghetto Fighters Kibbutz, Lochamei HaGetaot, which was named in honor of the fighters who died in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising of 1943. Rabban has made repeated visits back to Poland, but she says her best therapy in dealing with the past is talking about it to today's youth.
There are survivors who live all their life with the souvenirs and with the camps and with the fears. And when I speak now to groups, even to you, I see my people who I loved. They stay with me, always.
On the grounds of the Western Galilee Kibbutz is the Ghetto Fighters Museum and the Yad LaYeled Children's Museum and Memorial. The daughter of survivors, Tali Schneer, is an educator at Yad LaYeled, the world's only museum dedicated to the lives and memories of the 1.5 million Jewish children who perished in the Holocaust. Schneer says, despite their young age, today's youngsters can connect to the Holocaust.
When we read the diaries and when we read the stories of the children, many of them that wrote about the Holocaust in or after the Holocaust, all of them tell part of the story is about the way they lived, and we forget that. So in Yad LaYeled, we took upon ourselves the idea to tell the kids that before those children died, they had really great life, and they had great family, and they had great Jewry was there in Eastern Europe.
Through their stories of survival, Elisa Tenenbaum and Chavka Fulman-Rabban have inspired a new generation that must carry forward their legacy and that of other Holocaust survivors. For IBA News, this is Viva Press.